Yeah, man. So I'm gonna get into it. I did catch a mystery movie. Gonna be talking about Five Nights at Freddy's, man. So this film is a kind of it's billed as a horror, but I think it's more of a kind of suspense thriller, and it's based on a very popular video game series. So in this film, a troubled security guard begins working at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. While spending his first night on the job, he realizes the late shift at Freddy's won't be so easy to make it through. So yeah, so the story, we got our cast right here. Josh Hutcherson, he plays Mike, our main character. We also get Elizabeth Leo, plays Vanessa Monroe, a police officer in this film. Matthew Lillard from Scream is also in this. He plays Mike's employer. And we also get some other characters in this. So our character, Mike, he always ends up losing jobs and stuff. So we start off with him working at the mall. And it's interesting. He sees what he thinks is a parent trying to abduct or a person trying to abduct a kid. You know, just from him looking at it, so it triggers a flashback. Really, it's just a parent trying to get their kid to, like, yo, it's time to leave. And the kid's like resisting, kicking and screaming, like, no, I don't want to. And he ends up beating the shit out of this dude. Like, it's kind of a funny scene. So, of course, he gets fired from that job. And then this job at Freddy Fazbear's is presented to him. And it's like a rundown, beat up Chuck E. Cheese's. Apparently, the story is the owner just doesn't want to sell it. You know what I'm saying? He still has possession, but he can't let it go. It's sentimental value or whatever, you know, that's keeping him from selling this place. So he hires people to just keep an eye on it at night to make sure the local teens don't get in there and cause trouble. So Mike takes his job, and you know, and also getting this job is an effort for him to keep custody of his sister as well, man. And so I think there's a family member that's trying to get custody from him, you know, because something had happened to their parents. And for her, it's just a check. You know, for him, he actually really cares. But at the same time, his life just is so unstable. He's not looking like a proper candidate. Even though he does what he can, he does a good job, you know, taking care of her. She would rather be with him. So, you know, he gets this job, and then as soon as he gets there that first night, things just start happening, strange things, and it's kind of, you know, goes along those lines. So there's the animatronic characters in this thing, they're still in the building. The old robots, you know, Chuck E. Cheese used to have a band, and they do stuff. So they're still in there, like, and it's kind of interesting because the officer he meets, and it just introduces herself, like, yeah, this is part of my beat, and she's like, have you met them yet? And he's like, what do you mean? So she shows him the stage where they are, and they're playing the band and the whatever, blah, blah, blah. You know, but later on, you realize it's a bit more sinister than that. Like, these things are in there moving around at night and just on their own, and like, you know what I'm saying? And there's an interesting mystery, I think, woven into this story, you know, with those, you know, the robots and stuff. And I think a lot of people are describing this as a PG-13 horror film. So I believe that's the rating on this thing, PG-13. Yeah. So, but I think it does get a little bit intense, man, a little bit scary. I think 13-year-olds can handle it. Maybe if they're like 5, 6, 7, 8, it might be a little bit like, hey, you know what I'm saying? This is going to be some nightmare fuel. But I think it works for, you know, its limitations as far as, you know, being able to push it with violence and stuff. There's a lot of implied stuff. I think it does a good job of building up the atmosphere and such as well. You know, it's creepy, it's spooky, but it's also kind of fun in a way, man. You know what I'm saying? It's not like once you figure out the nature of the mystery, I think the fear kind of drops out, and then it's still kind of a situation where you're rooting for the characters and just hoping that they can figure this out and get out, you know, safely. But for what it is, I think it was cool, man. I kind of also feel like they kind of ended it in a way where there could possibly be a sequel to this thing too. You know what I'm saying? So
tell me this. How does this compare to Willy's Wonderland?
I haven't seen Willy's Wonderland.
Really?
But I think the consensus is that Willy's Wonderland is a better film than this.
Okay. Yeah, it's more violent. It sounds like it's more violent.
And I think the core nature of these films is probably a little bit different as well. You know, even though it's kind of a similar scenario where you've got these animatronic things with a mind of their own. But it's also kind of weird too, because something happens in this film to some of the people, and they're kind of bad people and they kind of got it coming, but then it's kind of like not mentioned again. That like it's just like, whoa, like that did happen, man. Like y'all just kind of swept that under the rug. But for the most part, I think this thing is pretty well made, man. And also, it's the #1 film in the country right now, man. Surprising. I think that has to do with just a testament of how popular this franchise is. I didn't know anything about it, to be honest. I never played the games, but I know there are several games. I always see Five Nights at Freddy's merchandise in stores.
I've seen little toys and stuff. I've seen little toys and stuff.
Yeah, like Five and Below always has Five Nights at Freddy's stuff. Walmart, Target, they'll have little things and stuff. So it's a popular series. So I think that's a testament to how it did at the box office, because I think right now they're up to 220 million worldwide. Like, it had an $80 million opening, which is one of the biggest of this year. If we, we're being honest, like, this is crazy. And this is outside of the summer blockbuster season. It's not Marvel. It's not DC. It's not Fast and Furious. It's not a big major franchise, but possibly this could become a big franchise if they can. I feel like they're going to go back in, man. They haven't announced it yet, but I think they're going to go back for another dip. And if they can keep the quality up, at least have it as good as this, I think they'll do all right, man. The critics paying this, but the audience side of the scores are really high, man. I think they might be up in the 80s. You know what I'm saying?
I did see that on I guess it's been out a couple of weeks, but that's one thing I did see, that the audiences are liking it. It really surprised me that people actually went to the theater and saw it, and it's.
I got a feeling the kids did it, man, and think about it too. When this thing first came out, there's someone I follow on video game space, and they're about my age, and they love these games. So I got a feeling that a lot of this audience grew up, and it's on their minds, and they just went to see it. This 88% audience score right now. Yeah, so it's surprising, man. I don't know. I kind of like stories like this, man. I like when something just comes out and just wins like this. Something unexpected, that people didn't think would do good, and like, boom. It's like, I think it's cool, man. It kind of shakes things up a little bit, and it proves that you can't apply the rules to everything, man, and expectations, like, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's there's no telling.
Yeah. And it had a $20 million budget, man, so they're probably really happy with the results of this thing, man. Let me see if I can find out when was the Five Nights at Freddy's game come out. Yeah, somebody else looked that up. So the first game, it seems like, was in 2014, man. Dang, I feel like it was older than that, but that's cool. Came out on August 8th of 2014, the very first game. So it seems like it's been around forever, but honestly, man, 10 years ain't that old, dude. Like,
no, not at all.